welcome to Lawyers POV. I am Nicole, and with me we have Attorney Scott Edgett of Edgett Law Firm.
Hi, good morning. How are you?
I'm good. So, we will be talking about a topic that was quite hot on the news last month. But although this has been prevalent all over social media last month, I think it is still quite important for us to discuss this, especially in the perspective of a lawyer. So, first question, how did you react when you first heard the news?
Well, I was shocked. I was deeply concerned and saddened. I think it's tragic when something starts as a youthful prank and it escalates into something potentially deadly. As you know, I'm a parent myself, and my mind immediately goes to the teens. Luckily, nobody was hurt physically beyond property damage, but honestly, it could have turned out so much worse. And I think that I also thought a lot about the broader implications, such as fear, misunderstanding, and how social media these days can definitely amplify someone's risky behavior. It seems like once something's on camera, people are willing to take more chances.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Although social media is a very open platform for us to communicate, it has also become a platform for the negative. Do you think the homeowner is liable, and why or why not?
Well, I think there's two arguments to that. I think there's a strong reason to believe the homeowner could be legally responsible for a criminal offense, which my understanding is he was charged by the Frisco Police Department with a second-degree felony aggravated assault deadly weapon. But I think that comes with a couple caveats. There's some reasons that point towards criminal recklessness or negligence. When there's an offense, it has to be intentionally, knowingly, recklessly, or negligently. That's the standard that we look at as to whether a person intentionally, knowingly, recklessly, or negligently committed a crime or did an offense. Now, the use of a firearm and firing into the street, I think that kind of went a little beyond, it could be argued it went a little beyond defending his home. He allegedly fired these gunshots at teens that were, they were doing the ding-dong ditching, and they were running to their car. So that part concerns me. We already have second-degree felony charges, so that doesn't mean that they can prove it beyond a reasonable doubt, but it means that there's probable cause to believe that a crime has been committed. That meets the legal threshold for Frisco PD to charge the individual involved, the homeowner. But I also think that it's a consideration for the neighbor's safety. The details in the story mention that shots were fired. It was dangerous given the surroundings, the streets, the bystanders. If someone would have been hurt, then I think it could be a much more severe consequence or crime even. The legal system typically considers whether a homeowner's actions were reasonable under the circumstances. In this case, police said that this homeowner went out to the street and he fired gunshots, so it could be argued that he didn't consider the safety of his neighbors. But then I think there's some other caveats that could come into play, such as if the homeowner truly believed there was a threat, that someone was trying to break in or do harm, then some jurisdictions, like here in Texas, allow the use of force. So it has to be, that'd be what they consider self-defense laws, or what you've heard of as the castle doctrine. It determines what is reasonable, and if those homeowners' actions exceeded what's reasonable, then it could be more of a police involvement where they can prove it beyond a reasonable doubt. And then the last thing is the intention and perception. Did the homeowner perceive it as an imminent threat? Did the teen's actions or the environment lead them to legitimately fear for safety? That can affect whether the use of deadly force is justified under the law. So I think there's arguments for both sides for sure.
It is very complicated over something as simple as, a prank. Sometimes I can't believe something as simple as a prank would actually lead to legal complications. So, and I'm just glad that no one's in great harm.
Absolutely. Thank
But
goodness only property damage.
yeah, yeah, definitely. Although it is still costly, but at the very least, no one's life was harmed. So I guess that's a good thing. So in line with that, as a precaution to parents, what are the other dangers of doing these kinds of social media challenges or pranks, legally speaking?
Well, it's the same thing that I teach my kids. Always think about the worst case scenario. A lot more can go wrong than people often realize. Legally, there are risks that parents should clearly be aware of for their child. Obviously, we have criminal liability. That's even if the prank seems harmless, trespassing, vandalism, those can lead to criminal charges. But if someone's safety is threatened, then obviously it could be a much more serious charge, such as a felony in this case. You also have civil liability, which is if a person's injured, whether they can be sued for damages. You also have that if a minor was doing this under the supervision of an adult, or if an adult was involved in it, there is what we call a child endangerment statute that talks about endangering minors. They can come into play when adults are with them and puts children in danger by doing, scary things or dangerous things. And also, anytime a firearm's involved, it can enhance penalties from a criminal standpoint. Even though Texas, everybody believes in their guns in Texas, and you have a right to your guns, people don't want to worry about being out in their neighborhood and somebody just firing shots down the street at somebody. This is Texas here. Everybody loves their guns, but everybody make sure everybody's safe as well. And then the risk to bystanders, that's something that an innocent bystander could have easily been harmed in this, shot, hit by a car. There could have been several unintended consequences. They could hold participants responsible for those. And then I think the last thing is social media consequences. I mean, evidence captured on video and posts can be used in court. Once they're posted, they're almost impossible to retract or pull back or to delete. There's always going to be a footprint, a carbon copy on that device. So you're going to be able to see exactly what took place.
People really need to start thinking of the consequences, right, before doing these pranks, no matter how harmless it may seem. So while that is under the perspective of the person attempting to do pranks, how about to the recipient? What is your advice to the general public, especially those that might be recipients of pranks?
I think it goes back to what I said initially, is always think about the worst case scenario before doing anything. You never know how someone's going to react. You might think it's a simple prank, but someone might turn around and pull a gun out. In Texas, the majority of people are carrying weapons, so you just have to be careful. So always think about that worst case scenario. And I think one thing that we have forgot about, as I'm a little bit older than most of my audience here, but I think that we have to respect other people's property and boundaries. Just because something is trending on a social media app doesn't make it harmless. If it involves going onto someone else's land or disturbing them, you got to steer clear. You got to make sure that you do not cause or escalate a situation that doesn't need to be done. And if you're a homeowner, I know it's hard because a lot of times you don't know the difference between a prank and something that is serious, is a true threat. Try to remain calm, try not to escalate, call 911, report it, try to let law enforcement handle it. If this is the case, then this would be something that the focus would be on the teenagers and not the homeowner, as in this article. So always document what happens, photos, videos, witness statements, ensure your own safety first.
Just a general advice to everyone, right? Social media, whether it's a challenge or not, it's not a free pass to do anything you want, right?
Not at all. You just have to be smart. Make sure, always imagine the worst case scenario, what might happen, And just because somebody else is doing it online doesn't mean you have to do it yourself.
Yeah, I mean, there are other fun things to do online, right? That doesn't harm people, you know?
Absolutely. I mean, when I was growing up, we'd have fun doing things, but I think we also didn't record every single thing and put it on video and make it easier to prove whether somebody did something or didn't do something. So I think that's something that we have to, today's society is different where everything is recorded, and we have to make sure that everybody is protected because there's always going to be evidence about what happened, and it's hard to refute video evidence. So please be careful out there.
Lastly, any parting words to everyone, just to, you know, maybe they're in need of legal advice or legal assistance.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, we are here, we're located in McKinney, Texas. The Edgett Law Firm has been around in Texas since 2009. I've been practicing for over 24 years between Florida and Texas here, but the last 17 here in the Collin County, Denton County, DFW area. We've specialized in criminal defense, in juvenile cases, anything that involves anything regarding your rights. If you're accused of a crime, just make sure, always protect yourself. Anything you do, any questions whatsoever, you could always reach out to us for a free consultation. You can call the office, you can email us, you can submit an inquiry on our website, whatever is easier for you. We try to always respond as soon as possible and give you the right legal advice you need.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much, Scott, for taking the time. And that was attorney Scott Edgett of Edgett Law Firm.